Love it that that's a thing. All right, so we're probably actually already over, but just hold on a second. It won't look like it. Come on, chug it along. Let's go. There we go. All right, let's get that down. Let's record this thing. Want to hear that sexy voice right there? Making sure you guys are all playing along. And there we go. All right, everybody, it's Wednesday, so it must be Whiskey Wednesday. Oh, they're a feisty crowd tonight. I can tell. They're all Irish and they're all hopped up on whiskey already. All right, everybody. Well, St. Patrick's Day just around the corner, it's a Monday. Do we celebrate just all weekend? Sure,
Yes,
why not?
yes.
The whole
Let's
week.
start
Everyone's
today.
everyone's,
Let's start
Ir-
today.
everyone's Irish from today on.
There we go. There we go. All right. So I got Josh Slocum here. He's the area manager for Di Serono. That'll become evident later. And Dan Braganza?
Yeah, there we go.
Sorry.
Took me a while too.
He's a market manager for Massachusetts, but what do you know? These guys are actually representing not Italian amaretto tonight, but Irish whiskey from Buskers.
Yes. You might remember me from Sagamore fame a few months ago.
You might remember. Hi, I'm Jim McClure. You may remember me from what not to do in the boys' room, but from Sagamore, yes. So Sagamore is now under the umbrella of
Di
Serono.
Serrano.
Yes.
Which Buskers is under the umbrella of Di Serono now.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So Buskers has been like sort of like on the outskirts for a while. It's been an Irish whiskey out there, not really good representation. You guys are now going to go like, okay,
yeah,
we're going to take this over now. We're going to do this right.
Exactly. So we're launching it more into the United States. So Di Serono is the parent company. It's our 500th year anniversary, if anyone's curious. So this is one of our brands.
That's a lot of almond bits.
Yeah. Apricot kernel.
Apricot kernel, sorry.
And so we are launching this kind of premium Irish whiskey into the United States. A lot of the focus was on the homeland in Ireland for a while, and also a lot in the Asian market.
Yeah.
Funny enough, Busker in Japan is actually the #1 Irish whiskey in Japan. We actually outsell.
What does
Jameson.
Busker mean in Japanese? Because it's got to like
it's really delicious.
Yeah, there's something about the name itself.
Yeah.
Okay, well, #1, like one of the top ones in Japan, right?
Absolutely, yeah. We outsell Jameson and all those, and so we're kind of
they don't drink any
Yeah.
Irish whiskey in Japan at all. They sell like 2 bottles.
2 bottles
Jameson
total.
says 1.
Yeah.
We're right around 150,000 cases.
Nice.
There, yeah. So it's a big one for us.
Yeah. And so now we're kind of relaunching into the United States because this is obviously a very important market for us
especially
globally.
for
an Irish whiskey.
Yeah.
And then Massachusetts in particular is a hotbed of Irish whiskey drinkers. So
It seems to be on the radar.
Yeah.
Massachusetts.
There's more, isn't there something? It's something silly, right? There's more like people of Irish descent in the United States than there is in Ireland or something.
it's something like that.
Something like that or somewhere like that. In another
South
place, I
Boston.
think my wife was telling me it's another like hotbed. Believe it or not, is around like Georgia, like Savannah. They do
really?
a big. They do like this, like a
Second
really
biggest St. Patrick's Day
St. Patrick's
parade.
Day. I think it's just a way to drink. I think that
Yeah,
I don't think there's an
exactly.
Irish person as far as you can throw a stick at, but
No one's blood testing.
That's a
this is
party.
our favorite amateur holiday.
Yeah.
Drinking holiday is St. Patrick's Day because everybody wants to be Irish on that day.
Oh yeah, everyone is Irish that day.
Yeah.
You just gotta have a little bit of Irish whiskey, some
not get carried away
some
there.
beer.
Little green.
So tell us about Buskers. First of all, where'd the name come from?
So a busker is a performer, like a street performer. So mostly associated with musicians. It doesn't necessarily have to be a musician, but like, so there's lots of like famous buskers throughout like music history, like Ed Sheeran, Bono, like those like sort of Irish, but it doesn't have to be an Irish person either. And so it's a scrappy person who's like wants to kind of make it big. So they're like playing on the street or performing on the street.
Okay.
And so that's sort of like a little kind of a brand philosophy that we want. We're like a little scrappy underdog brand that we want. We have something really that we're really proud of and that we think can make it on the big stage. So that's kind of the brand philosophy.
I'll go along with that. Sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
That's a good name. I thought it was going to be some like, like imaginative story or anything like that, but It's a performer, a frisky performer, I
Yeah,
guess. Or
yeah.
a guy that wants to. No, but I think that's a good. I mean, you got to be scrappy, right? Is that what the whole thing is?
Yeah,
it's like a
exactly.
scrappy Irish whiskey. You drink whiskey and you get into a fight. No,
Yeah.
no? All right.
It
Try
depends.
not-
Well, hopefully you'll just sing because it's so delicious.
Oh, there you go. Sing for your supper.
Exactly.
That type of stuff. All right. So, there's 4 types available in the United States. The last one we're going to try tonight is a limited edition.
Well, so there's
Or is it one-off?
there's 5.
Oh,
we're
okay.
doing the new ones in the sort of the premium end of the spectrum.
Okay.
So if for the people here, you'll see a triple blend on your sheet. We're not doing that one today. We're doing a limited release instead. So that was very like an allocated whiskey that came into a little bit came into Massachusetts. So we're doing that here. Julie is obviously one of the accounts that got some of that.
Okay.
And so we're going to go down the line from our kind of core 3 new premium whiskeys and to the limited release.
All right. We'll hit them one at a time. All right. Before they start getting feisty and scrappy and start throwing things, let's start drinking.
Let's do it.
So
sounds
let's do
good.
the first one. Everybody's got a glass too. So if you want to pour your whiskey into the glass, feel free to. That glass is for you guys to take home. Compliments of Buskers. So enjoy that. You all have your starting in your all have trays. So we're going to start obviously with slot number 1, which is the single grain. All right. I think we changed the order up. So we're going to start with the single grain.
Yeah, so we decided to start with this one. This is probably the lightest of the styles. So our single grain, so Royal Oak Distillery is our distillery itself. The Busker, we're just calling the Busker as sort of the brand name of it. But so we make all of our whiskeys under one roof. We're one of the few, if not the only distillery that makes all 4 types of Irish whiskey under one roof.
Okay.
And all of our grain is local. It comes actually within 40 miles of the distillery itself. Most of like the other distilleries in Ireland, mostly because they're really big and everything, they're getting grain from all over Europe and other places. And so we're still kind of that scrappy underdog. And we're also taking pride in what we do, and we want to set a point of difference. And so we're going to use all Irish local grains and make all of our own whiskey ourselves.
Let me just ask: has anybody had Buskers before?
All right.
Always you. Why is that? No, that's okay.
Well,
No,
thank you.
But, huh? You hang out here?
hanging out here. Yeah.
You hang out with a bad crowd, buddy. No, but this is actually good. I'm glad that a lot of you have come tonight to try a brand that you may not have heard of before. Everybody also gets a whole card tonight, so that didn't hurt. So let's try that one, the single grain. So what are you using for your single grain?
So we're doing so single grain it's a single distillery, and our grain is wheat, so it's 95% wheat and then 5% barley.
Well, yeah, malted barley. Yep.
And so this one is
it done out of a coffee still?
this is column stilled.
Column still.
Yeah, this is the one that's column stilled. The rest will be pot still.
Nice, clean, brushing.
Clean light, that's that column
Yeah,
still.
Yeah.
In this we finish this we do double barrel finishing. All of our whiskeys start in used bourbon barrels, and then we finish it for a shorter time in this one in a Marsala wine barrels. So Josh actually worked with the company before that
Yeah.
that
Yeah,
you get
so
the source the wine
Di
barrels from.
Serrano still owns Florio Marsala, and that is the barrels that we're using. So those are being shipped over to Royal Oak, and then we are using those in the single grain. So something really cool.
I gotta say, I am sort of happy to hear that because it's so weird to me that a lot of these distilleries and companies, they're owned by an over company, a company that looks over them, that has all these other distilleries and properties around the world. And then you go like, oh, so you own Florio Marsala, so you must use that. And they go, no,
Yeah,
we don't. I'm like, why
Why?
wouldn't you? I mean, you own that company too. You have a ready source of barrels
100%.
right there that you can use. That, by the way, it goes very well. Marsala goes very well with Irish whiskey.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you get
So-
that light fruitiness from
Yeah.
the wine. Funny enough, you say that too. Is we're actually so probably down the line I know they're experimenting with using Sagamore barrels as well, since
Which
that's
would be a
under-
nice rye barrel.
right.
A nice rye barrel. We've done that. We've done that with Sagamore.
Yeah.
We've done stuff with that. For those of you who don't know, we've done quite a few projects with the Lock and Key and Sagamore, and we've also done projects with Binny's out of Chicago with Sagamore too. And there's actually one upstairs right now. We did the Park Cognac barrel.
Yeah.
Finished too.
It's beautiful
which are
whiskey.
really,
If you haven't
really
had
good.
tried that, that's worth looking into.
Now, so while we're here and we're talking about this, have we ever thought of doing a Di Serono barrel? So like aging Di Serono in a barrel and then using that barrel for Irish whiskey.
I haven't heard that yet, but that would be something that's really cool.
Was that special like
Could-
Well, it's Di
older
Serrano
Di Serono?
Reserve.
Was that aged?
It is.
It
yeah.
was actually aged.
Yeah, that was.
I'm gonna put mayonnaise into the tuna
Chop finely.
before
Before.
feed tuna.
I know we've done
Great idea, isn't
we've
it?
done cigars.
Yeah,
in
yeah,
Di Serono.
Yeah.
Those are pretty good.
But I'm saying, but that's one of those type of things. If you do a barrel aged, do a barrel aged Di Serono, then you could take that
Yeah.
and
Right.
use it and do a special one off.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Busters. Wouldn't you guys like that? I mean, an amaretto would go really nice. I
Yeah,
think.
you got to be real careful with those sweet barrels to like
Yes,
do it
of course.
right, so you don't get it overly saccharine. But yeah, like a nice light touch of it sounds good to
Well,
me.
it's really going to be
Time.
how long you're going to keep it in.
Right,
there.
exactly.
I mean,
Well,
you're going to go into it without. I mean, you don't want like a couple gallons of Di Serono at the. I mean,
It's an Irish Godfather.
Yeah,
that's right. That's what I'm saying. It almost even make mixed drink.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
Put
good.
ice in glass.
Put ice in glass.
In the
But doesn't
meantime,
that sound good though?
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
In the meantime, you can buy one of these bottles and buy a Di Serono and just mix them
Yeah,
together.
put
at
them
home.
together.
That's
Two
a
parts.
I
Busker,
just
one
want to
part,
say
Di
that
Serono.
idea was brought to you by the company man.
A CM.
Buy one of
Brought
each.
him.
What do you guys think of this one? Nice, right?
Yeah, light vanilla, kind of
Yeah.
that fruitiness. Yeah, easy drinking.
It's easy drinking, but a lot of let's face it, especially around St. Patrick's Day, there's a lot of like shots and beers, right?
100%.
I mean,
yeah.
or something like that. This has got a lot more flavor and a lot more stuff going on to it than I wouldn't do. This would not be a shooter whiskey for me
Right.
because
No.
it still has a lot of flavor and stuff going on. This is still a drinking whiskey, it's a sipping
Absolutely.
whiskey,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think all these, you can enjoy straight up or with, rock or however you want to do it, but they're definitely more, more in your face and more, mature for,
Right.
the whiskey drinker. So I think there's something to ease into. And
What's the ABV on this one? Because I know Lisa's going to ask me this question.
So the alcohol by volume is 44.3%.
She's looking it up. I already had that answer. So
Oh,
There it is.
there we go.
I
He's
like
ready.
it.
what is it again? Sorry,
Alcohol by volume is 44.3%.
44.3.
and that'll be the same on the
first
all
three.
Three.
labels.
It
Correct.
stays the same. Okay. I like this one. I think it's great. I think it's really nice. I love the wheat. It's got a softness. It's got a good mouthfeel to it.
Yeah, it's a nice style. Like, so a lot of like grain whiskeys out of Ireland are not necessarily 100% like are not necessarily wheat they're using.
Right. Well, you can use anything you want. It's just going to be a
Yeah.
grain. All right. So whiskey number 2 is, which one are we doing
We're
now?
gonna do the single
Single
malt.
Single malt. All right. I'm marking them down because I have them in weird order here. So I'm just making sure. So single malt, everything is malted in this one?
Correct.
100%.
Okay.
Yep.
100% malted barley. So we're doing this in the Irish whiskey style. It's not going to be sort of like an Isla Scotch style single malt. So don't expect a big smoky flavor. You're going to get more of sort of that kind of like chocolatey, floral, biscuity kind of character on this one. And this is instead of a column still, we're using triple pot stills.
Triple, but you're still
Triple distilled pot
selling it?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's one of the reasons I find with Irish whiskey too is it lends itself to the barrel being influenced by the barrel because it's
It's a
triple
lighter style.
distill, it's lighter style, and you can do it.
Yeah.
Did I ever tell you my Irish and Scottish joke?
No, I love
No,
to
all
hear it.
right. So Irish whiskey is triple distilled, right?
Yep.
So the Scots say that's triple distilled because they couldn't get it right by only doing it 2. But the Irish say we triple distill because the Scots can't count that high.
It's a good one.
So do you like this one?
Yeah, so this one's aged slightly differently as well. So it does start the same in bourbon barrels, but then we finish it in Oloroso sherry barrels. So that kind of like chocolatey, kind of
Yeah.
dried fruit character, that's coming from the Oloroso sherry.
You get a little bit of raisin that's a little bit
Mhm.
Yeah.
richer sort of flavor on the finish on this one too. I like that one a lot. That's
Yeah,
got a lot of flavor to it. It's we're gonna get to pricing a little bit later, but these are all really affordable
absolutely.
whiskeys too.
Yeah, that's what I always say. For what's going into the product, what's going into the liquid, what we're doing with it, it's a true value, at that Irish whiskey. So it's really great for the money.
Says the area manager.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, please buy
Not by
multiple
itself.
Buy
bottles.
two. It's better that way. No, but they are really they're all like economically priced but the flavor really does deliver on
Yeah.
the first two anyways. I'll give you that. What do you guys think? Nice. That's got actually a pretty long finish on it too.
Yeah.
It doesn't suck. So
I like it.
Kavork, did you send me that this week? Kavork sent me a reel this week talking about about Massachusetts and the different things that happen in Massachusetts and what things mean and how we're kind what is it like we're mean but kind but it
Yeah.
had all these other things in it that happen in Massachusetts like you're in the club when get a load of this guy like different sayings in
Yeah.
Massachusetts and then it finally came up is like well that didn't suck.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so we were doing market research for obviously we're launching these in the United States and we're coming up with marketing. And so that's one of the options for our new slogan. It doesn't suck.
Yeah, it doesn't because only in New England would you use a negative to describe a positive reaction. So
It's wicked good.
no, that doesn't work.
Yeah.
No.
We came up with a whiskey called Wicked Dark. And we're gonna come up with a new one. We're coming up with a new one. We call it Wicked Dark,
Yeah.
and that's the way you say it, Wicked Dark.
Wicked. Yeah.
But you say Dark is
Dark.
HK. And there's no R. HK. But we're gonna do it again. So we were trying to is it Wicked Darka, or was it Noah Daka?
Oh, I like that one. I like that.
That sounds like a cologne.
Yeah. Well, exactly. No, that's exactly right.
We'll come up with a Gaelic spelling for that.
Yeah.
All right.
We don't need that. We don't need that type of input. We're stupid enough on our own. But no, but that is sort of a thing is saying like, that doesn't suck.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So that's a great slogan for the Boston area.
Yeah, it is.
The rest of the country's gonna go, what? What did they say? I like this one a lot. This is really good.
I
All
feel
right,
like
so-
single malt's also it's an overlooked category for Irish whiskeys. Obviously, for people who are looking for scotches, that's like such a recognizable kind of style.
Well, here's the thing: is what does single malt mean? See, the definition has been so ingrained with Scottish whiskey.
Right.
So what does single malt mean for if you're an Irish whiskey?
Yeah, I mean it's just still a single distillery.
Right. It's still a single
Yeah.
distillery,
And
and I think people
it's malted.
barley.
You're using malted barley.
Yeah.
right. And so I think that's where they're in big trouble now because now the English want to distill,
Right.
and the Scots are saying what? And there's a controversy about that. I'm going to talk about it on the radio show on Saturday, anyways. But I like this one too, and this is good. And it's like said, but this is a very different single malt than you would expect to get if you were buying like Scotch whiskey.
Exactly.
Yeah. 100%.
This is an Irish single malt. And
Yeah.
you got to keep that in mind.
Yeah,
because
very
it's a
representative of the
different
style.
It's a different beast.
Yep.
All right. Scotland has rules of what a single malt is called. American, U.S. single malt, and then, and what the controversy is coming in England is, what they're brewing they're brewing it basically at a brewery and then distilling it, and they're calling it a single malt, and it's like that's not the definition. So there is a legal definition in Ireland, yeah, and it also has to be you can bottle but it has to be aged like 3 years.
I always heard four.
Four for a single malt. Might be
I'm almost positive. Yeah, 4.
So ours hits around the 5-year mark. So
Okay.
we're just under
Just want to
that-
make sure
that
we're over the
anyway.
line, I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're legal.
Yeah. We're at
Legal.
least a year over.
All right. Well, that's good too.
Yeah.
All right. So what's the third one?
So the third one is the single pot still. So this is like the sort of the most classic style of like Irish, which really put Irish whiskey on the map. So we were speaking of the British earlier. So when the Irish were sort of kind of making a name for themselves and separating out from the British rule and British taxation, is sort of how single pot still in that Irish whiskey really became a thing. So they used to tax malted barley.
They didn't tax
distillate.
me if they couldn't find me, though.
Right.
Yeah.
And so to get away with sort of less taxation, the Irish started using unmalted barley as well in their mash. So because that part of it wasn't taxed. And so basically it was done to just skirt the law and just get away with spending less money because they didn't want to pay the crown. And so this whiskey style became very famous in Ireland for that reason. And they were like, wow, this actually tastes really good too.
Well, I mean, I think everybody so you guys all know like bourbon. Every bourbon has. Oh, no, I shouldn't say it that way. Most bourbons have malted barley in them. Most ryes have malted barley in them.
Yeah.
You can get away with it. You can use an enzyme. You can be 100% rye and not use malted barley, but most of them do, and they use a certain percentage. It's usually like at least 3 to 5%.
Yeah,
and the reason is you're just kick-starting the fermentation because the malted barley lets the yeast get going on that sugar, that fermentable sugar, and start eating that, and then it gets strong enough, big enough to sort of handle the rest of the mash, right? So when you use it, it's the same thing. It's the same theory. You only need so much malted barley to start the process to make single malt,
exactly.
right? And to get into that in the pot still too.
And that
So you can use malted,
barley,
unmalted, and
Yep.
it just takes longer to get the unmalted part kicking.
Right.
To
because it obviously has to convert to sugar.
It has to convert to sugar.
And then to turn into alcohol eventually. So that's the sort of kind of philosophy behind that. But just so you'll notice they're both made with barley.
Yeah.
And one is 100% malted and the other is 50-50. Ours is about 50-50.
About 50-50.
And you're just going to, even though it's all barley and it's all aged the same way. So this is also pot stills, triple distilled, and then started in bourbon barrels and finished in Oloroso sherry. But it'll taste very different from one another just because the mash bills are different. And so that's
if you didn't do anything else,
we didn't do anything else.
If you didn't do
different.
any, you do.
Yep.
Because you do
yeah.
an Oloroso sherry. But if you didn't do anything else, they would still taste
Well, these
different.
are both Oloroso sherry.
They're both
finished. Yep.
Okay.
So they're still gonna, but yeah, they would still taste different just because of the how we treat the grain.
Okay.
And so you're gonna get a lot more spice character on that because of that. So
This is sort of like starting into like deeper, bolder flavors.
Yes.
You know, there is a longer finish with a lot more flavor going on there.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't want to say not as easy drinking, but it's more of a complex.
It's bolder, more complicated. So like,
more complex.
So for other Irish
Like in-person
whiskeys,
whiskey.
yeah, I mean, like, so Redbreast is another famous brand that does like a really beautiful pot still Irish whiskey. And we actually have a very similar kind of mash bill to them. But you're still going to taste differences. There's difference in age. There's difference in the source of the grain and stuff like that. So it's nice to sort of try different brands all next to each other and and also in a vertical like we're doing here tonight to sort of like, even something's coming from the same distillery, we're using the same type of grain, just like little differences in the process, whether it's aging, the mash bill, the finishing, the amount of time will lead to like very different flavor profiles.
Really good. Totally different though. This is just a different whiskey.
Yeah. So go back to the single malt if you want and sort of taste that next.
You think they have some left? Oh, you really think? So
smell your glass.
Back to the first one and taste the difference. Yeah. Some of you have been here long enough to know to keep a little bit left, but for most of you, I was
have it
surprised
either.
we made it this far without them drinking all of it before we even got here. But All right, we'll go with that anyways. What do you guys think? Good? You like it?
That's my favorite one.
You like that one?
Yeah.
You like that one?
I do. I love that one.
All right, before we get to the last one, since the last one is sort of it's the outlier, right? It's the limited edition,
Correct.
right? So let's just, I just want to go just back through, just sort of see what you guys think. Just your favorite. No voting for 3. Yeah, I'm looking at you. All right, just your favorite. I just want to sort of gauge. Single grain, favorite.
Okay.
That's pretty good.
That's a good percentage.
A single malt.
Another good
Nice,
one.
nice. All right, and now the single pot still.
We actually get a good kind of
Wow.
Is that third?
It really is. It's pretty dang close. It's pretty close. I think the single malt again.
Slightly higher, maybe.
Yeah, single malt I think was slightly higher. Just slightly though.
Yeah, not by much.
If we got rid of that guy, we'd be even.
Yeah.
See you later, sir. No, but I think it was actually, believe it or not, in a room of like 40 something people, that was pretty divided, right?
Yeah.
You're seeing the same thing I'm seeing, right?
Yeah, that's
All right, because I was making sure I had a lot of whiskey. I thought I was thinking double. So I just wanted to make sure that I'm getting everybody. But very different. I like that you guys each like different ones because they're very different whiskeys. They really are.
And that goes to show too, like, so I've been working in the whiskey industry for a long time, and people always ask me since Tuesday, what's your best whiskey you have, or like what's your and I always like try to explain to people I'm happy to tell you what I think subjectively, but like it's subjective. And like, there's always a place for like, I always like to, like when people like, well, what should I buy or something like that? If I was going to buy one of your brands or something
Salesman
like that.
goes each one, just buy one.
Buy them all.
I
Yeah.
mean,
I always try to get a sense of like what that individual person likes and then go it off of that. Like, what other whiskeys do you drink or what, you know what I mean? And like, or, I mean, if you have an opportunity, like this is the best opportunity because you can try them all and see really for yourself.
Try before you buy. Liquid to lips is always the best way
and
to
so
go.
like, and it's the best because it's like, we're confident in our whiskey and we know people will like different styles. And like, so yeah. And obviously it's the best if you like them all and you just buy them all. But like, you know, at the end of the day, people have different tastes, different palates. And sometimes on different days you even like,
that's the other thing I was going to say. Somebody came up to me and goes like, you know, I don't know I don't know why he thought it was a flex, but he's like, you know, I have 10 whiskeys open at my house. And you know what? I go, well, that's a start. The guy next to us down the aisle going like, huh? How come so little? What are you just starting?
Yeah. That's so exciting. You're getting right into it.
The guy was like, I have like 10 open. I'm like, oh, okay. You're married, sir?
Baby
baby steps, sir. Baby steps. Yeah. But the thing is that a lot of people don't understand that like you're when you go home after the day or whatever, when you're going to have drinking, not you, I know it's the middle of the day for you, but if you go home at the end of the day, it depends on the day you had, maybe the weather is at what you're having. Like it's very mood orientated what I'm going to drink. I usually don't go like, what am I going to drink and start looking down the line. I almost have an idea before I get there. Because it's just like sort of the day will bring itself and you go like, oh, you know what I really could go for tonight? It might be the grain. Right, the grain whiskey. Cause it's a lighter day out. It's not as cold as it's been. You know, I walked home today, you know, and I wore shorts today for the first time. It's 60. It's 55 degrees. I wore shorts for the first time. Isn't it weird in the fall if it's 55 degrees you wear like a sweater and long pants? In the spring it gets to 55, you're in the shorts and a t-shirt. Does anybody else like that? It's
I'm like that.
Yeah, it's like it's so weird. It's like it's the same temperature. It's just like what you've been used to. But you sort of pick out your whiskey. What you're going to drink is sort of based on how you're feeling.
Right.
Absolutely.
So the more whiskeys they happen, the more moods you can be in. Sure, why not? Let's go with that. But that is sort of one of the things. So it's even though like one of your like you might say like, oh, I gravitate right away to the single grain. I could also see myself drinking.
Yeah, if it's like a colder
pot
day,
still.
maybe you're like, I want the pot still. I want that spice character to come
Right.
through more. Yeah, it makes perfect sense.
No. Do you guys do it that way, or is it just me?
Or do you
Just
take
me.
one bottle,
Just
just drink it all?
One bottle, and then I go to
Drink
the
it
next
all.
bottle.
Just go down the line.
I go to the next bottle. What's that? I finished. Well, that's good. That's good for you. So you guys know the general rule, right? When you get to the last third, that's when you should either finish it. You know what I mean? Just get to the last third. You really should if you have a lot of 1/3 whiskeys, then invite us over and we'll help you.
Yeah.
It's a service. It's a service we offer here, and we have a lot of volunteers that will come. It's a mercy killing, is what we like to call it. Get those out of the way. Make room for more because you're going to want to get something else, right? All right. What's that? All right. So let's try the last one. Now, the last one that we're going to try tonight is sort of it's a limited edition.
Yeah, so this is like a sort of the direction where like it's a little bit of a preview into sort of like a little bit older aged version of the pot still we have here. It's a little bit higher proof as well. It's sort of the direction that the company is going. So we're still relatively young.
Yeah.
So like you were saying, about 5 or so years old. This is about like a year older.
Okay.
In casks.
So what was the first three were, what was the ABV on those?
40, the percent is 44.3. Okay. So
and what's
double
the
that.
What's the other one on that?
This
well,
one's
I said ABV. So
yeah. Oh, ABV. Yeah. So this is 46.3.
All right. So just a little bit higher.
A couple points higher.
All right.
Yep.
The color's a lot darker.
Color's a lot darker. Yeah. So this is just from the extra aging. Is pulling out that much, and also the AB. So obviously, color's coming from two main things. It's coming from your barrel and the sherry and the bourbon barrel, and also when you have a higher proof, you're not proofing it down with more water,
so it's more concentrated.
So it's more concentrated color. So you get that nice rich color. So you're gonna see that on the palate, in terms of body and flavor, and you're gonna see that on a little bit on the finish as well. It's a yeah.
Is the extra year in the bourbon or is it in the sherry or is it?
I believe it's mostly a combination, but I think it's mostly coming from the bourbon.
Okay.
Yeah, because the finish so our master blender Caroline, she actually started in the Scotch industry if I'm right about that, for about 30 years, and then came over with us. She was making some other Irish whiskeys, and now she's our kind of head master blender of our kind of distilling team there. And then so she's doing a lot to taste as well. So nothing will be like totally exact from batch to batch, but.
Well, it doesn't have to be. This is a one-off, limited edition.
Exactly.
You can make this, and then it's said and done. You can copy it if you want to, or you can go in a different direction.
Yeah.
And there's nothing's written in stone with that.
Right. Exactly.
And we'll talk about the labeling later, but I need to talk to the marketing in the department. It's way too confusing. But the white label one is the limited edition. So if you're looking at these, you see the dark label, you see the white label, and you see the higher ABV, because that's not something that when people are looking at things, that's not something that they normally would look at right away. But that is one way to tell that it's a limited edition. The ABV will be a little bit higher.
Exactly.
All right.
3 points higher.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're gonna get on the bottles. You're gonna get the Royal Oak Distillery kind of embossed. You're gonna get Busker, and then on the sides for consumer, we try to be as open as possible. We want consumers to be educated. We don't want to like hide what we're doing at all. So on the side, it's gonna show how we're aging it, and also how it's distilled on the other side. So like we have our column stills, what they look like. So it's always good for like consumers to sort of like understand what they're drinking.
Sure.
Because we want people to be educated and like be excited about the whiskey.
The more you know, the better you drink.
Absolutely.
Right. I mean, that's the definite here. All right. So we got the last one here, which is still a pot still.
Yep.
Right?
Non-chill filtered pot still.
Are they all non-chill filtered? Just out of curious?
No.
You don't have to be, because I'm just asking.
Just the higher ABV.
Just the higher ABV.
Exactly.
Okay, so we hit the magic number. We're like, okay, we don't have to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's just the.
It's not quite the
small
magic
batch.
number, but it might flocculate if it gets cold. Then.
So if it gets really cold, you'll see sort of the cloudiness from the non-chill filter.
It's okay, everybody. It's only because it's natural. It's good.
Yeah, it's natural.
It's good. It's all right. There's nothing wrong with that. And what's cool about the surgence of whiskey in general, that's really great, is that the education has come with that.
Exactly.
And when people see a cloudy whiskey, they're not like, oh, it's cloudy.
It must
Now,
be
usually
bad.
people go like, Oh, it's good. I mean, again,
Yeah.
we live in New England. We have pulp in some of our sodas, so it's okay. We're like, oh, sure. Worcester water has like, protein in it. It's fine. Don't worry about it. You won't kill you. But it does mean less processed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if that's something that's important to a consumer, they have that.
What do you guys think of this one? That's good? You like the higher ABV? You would.
We knew you would.
We knew you would. Jeez,
Yeah.
there's the shocker. Him likes the higher ABV. Despite, I think you're right. It's almost got a little bit of like a chocolate note to it.
Yep.
It lost some of the spice character. Being a little bit, maybe the higher ABV or the year. It could be a combination of both.
Yeah. So when you're aging something longer, you get a little. So wood is actually like imparting a lot of like kind of sugar character. It's like pulling that sweetness from oak. And sherry obviously as well has like a kind of sweetness to it in some sense.
Oloroso, yeah.
So you're getting that character. So that's taking away a little bit of the spice.
Yep.
So if you have a really like young whiskey, you're going to get a lot more of that kind of like light, woody, spicy character on it. And so when it's aged a little bit longer, you get a little bit more richness as opposed to just kind of that kind of like sharper spice.
Sharper spice kind of. You guys like this one though? It's a good one. It's only around. I don't think there's many cases left of this.
No.
No.
there isn't.
And we got
only 10.
We had 10 come into the state.
Yeah, only 10 came to the whole state.
Yeah.
10 cases
10.
Yeah.
for the whole state.
Yeah.
All right. You guys are just messing with us now. Listen, if you want to make it in Massachusetts, you got to go for the Irish. You got to bring more than 10 cases. So that's like wetting our whistle.
That's right.
All right.
Making you want more.
Making it, yeah.
Next
Sure.
time we'll have more.
Sure,
I
marketing
promise.
guy. Let's
Yeah.
go with that.
Yeah, I mean, so we're gonna do like limited versions for each of the single.
Okay.
Yeah.
The singles.
That's cool. That's cool. And then so we're going to see more from you guys as we go on.
Absolutely.
All right. First of all, I want to thank you guys both for being in. Dan and Josh, thank you so much.
Thank
for being
you.
here. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ryan.
You guys stay here. I got some stuff to go through with you. Everybody on Facebook, we'll see you later. You can, if you want to see this again, go anywhere you get your podcast. Look for It's the Liquor Talking, including YouTube now. It's all the stuff. But you really should have been here because it was awesome.